So we really did, because especially our first big holiday on the boat was Thanksgiving, and American Thanksgiving has very significant food themes in it. Like you're supposed to have a turkey. And in our family, what it's supposed to be varies by region. But I made sure I had at least two things on board that made it always Thanksgiving: cranberries and pumpkin, and they could be shelf stable in a can. So wherever we were, we could have those as long as I remembered to provision them a year before.
That's fantastic. I love that, the idea of just two ingredients or two special things that evoke that
Hmm.
spirit, that create that festive spirit.
Right? Well, we could
Yeah.
always find poultry somewhere if we couldn't find turkey. And then we'd have our cranberries, our pumpkin pie, and adapt the rest to what happens locally. So it's terrible that this is what's so memorable in a way, but I was really excited that we were in Thailand and it was Thanksgiving, which is very food centric for us compared to Christmas, which is more about traditions than food per se. And there's no turkey that I could find in southern Thailand, but I found a whole chicken at the market, and I
Uh,
was thrilled. I brought it back. I brought it to the boat. I was getting ready to, kind of butter it up and to roast it in our oven, and I realized it was fully intact, like it had not been gutted. And when was the last time you bought a chicken that
For
hadn't been
me,
gutted?
a long time
Right?
ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Wow.
not the head. I mean, I figured it was the heads and the feet, because of course you can use those for things. No, it had not been gutted at all. So I had to go back to when I was in my early teens. I helped out. I like to think I was working, but really they tolerated me on a small family farm near where my family spent the summer, and I helped process small batches of chickens a couple times a summer, and just for the family to eat. And I had to try and remember, right, there's that gallbladder, and you really got to make sure you don't nick it when you're going in to get everything else out. And I think I might have like PTSD from having to figure out how to gut the chicken and not spoil our Thanksgiving dinner all at once.
Oh wow. And did it all turn out okay in the end?
It was fantastic. It was great. I did not nick the gallbladder. I did not spoil the meat, and it roasted up beautifully.
That's fantastic. Yeah, as you mentioned, food is such a big part of creating that sense of the holiday
Mm.
season, home, and even comfort, you know.
Quizzed my kids on this earlier, and it was, well, I just sent them a quick text just to say, hey, when you think of your strong memories around meals at holidays, what are the things that you think of? And actually, where our oldest went was not to the food. He went to holiday memories, and it was about decorations that we do as opposed to food. And then our middle child, oh, I'm sorry, he did have, I'll wait for my clock. He had one specific food memory, and it goes back to the second year, second Christmas, we were in Australia. The company I worked for gave every employee a ham. And so I came home from work with a ham, and it just been in our oven.
Great.
And so now he feels like Christmas ham is a thing you're supposed to do, even though that was never part of our traditions really before. He's like, it's a thing. And we have tried to seek out ham when we could and bring it back in. At Christmas time, and this is one of the things that our daughter Marin actually brought up. She said her Christmas food associations are latkes and sunbread, neither of which are conventionally Christmas.
Yeah.
Latkes because, of course, Hanukkah often around Christmas time, and our family, we don't follow a particular religion. We respect, we cherish the values of others. We have principles that we think echo many religions, like kindness and empathy and understanding, but we don't follow a religion per se. So that our daughter would actually call out latkes as one of her Christmas holiday favorites, like it's essential. I thought was kind of fun. We always have a latke night during Hanukkah as a way of kind of, I guess, acknowledging it, right? And of course,
Yeah.
solstice, usually right around the 21st, is something that's really important to us. We make sunbread every year. We've done different things to recognize solstice in our family, and she was like, sunbread and latkes, that's what I need.
That's fantastic because they are so
Mhm.
far away from the traditional festive meals that we prepare back at home on land. And I love that because that just shows that actually that we can learn so much and we can have a really rich experience. And
Mhm.
those memories don't, can be recreated and even cherished for years to come. That's fantastic. I love that.
I did too. She said it's like, and what she said it's not the food specifically, it's the preparing together and the eating together, that those are the things that mattered. I thought, I did something right.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And as someone who is big on food, obviously with small vegan
Mhm.
kitchen, that's everything that's about and
Mhm.
represents. For me, the most important thing is people think food is taste, but it's not. It's emotion, it's memory, it's nostalgia,
Mhm.
it's comfort, it's home, it's a sense of well-being. It can make us physically feel sick at the mention of a food, but it can also bring tears to our eyes. And so food for me is so much more. And it just sounds like it's the same for your daughter too. It actually
Absolutely.
wasn't about the taste, but more about what it meant, just being together with your family, preparing foods. That's beautiful. It really is.
That's it exactly. And like we have a few things at the during Christmas season that for us are like the signs of that. And one of them, like I actually brought a little show and
Oh,
tell.
brilliant.
Um,
Excellent. I love it.
this is a small table runner. I mean, you can only fit so much in a boat, right? This is a
Yes.
table runner that was embroidered for me by one of my Norwegian au pairs when in like the early
Oh,
70s,
that's
you know?
beautiful.
And so for me, this goes on the table and suddenly we're in the holiday season, right?
I
And
love
it's
that.
one of
And
the
I
things
love
that's really
that.
important.
Yeah, I
We
love that.
had
Something else.
the
Awesome.
six, we have to have our Nisa. They're sometimes called Tomta.
Yeah.
They're Scandinavian, they're churlish little gnomes, feature
Okay.
creatures, and they get these are my backup sheets to cut out, and you can see they're like paper dolls, but you use that to like
Brilliant.
stick it and balance it somewhere, right? So they hang around the boat, but it's
Awesome.
very boat compact, you know. And then because we changed the things we do where we are, these are in their like little plastic bag, but this is from Mexico. When you see the cut paper that hangs like across the street, they're called
Mhm.
papel picado. Well, these are the Christmas themed papel picado that we can hang around the boat at Christmas time.
I
So
love that because
it's
you have showed
that.
me flat, really compact things that don't
Mhm.
need, that are not fragile. They're things that can be stored anywhere on the boat. And I think and I love the idea of the runner as well. Oh, the stocking.
Let's
Excellent.
talk about nostalgia. Each of us have our childhood stocking.
Yes. Oh, that's lovely. That
Mhm.
really is. And again, flat, compact, doesn't take up too much
Mhm.
space. You can even make them yourself as an activity or a homeschooling activity with the kids to keep them
Mhm.
occupied. So that's really good. And I'm beginning to realize as well that, um, uh, the role the cruising community plays in actually building a new sense of what the festive season is about and how each nationality and culture and tradition can bring it in. So do you share dishes or host communal meals in the
Oh,
past, or can you give us some?
absolutely. We do. So I think one of my favorites for that might be this is the first year that first Christmas we were in Australia. We'd just been there for about 6 weeks. We were in the marina in Camaret, North Sydney, with a bunch of it was a very international group there because it's one of the few kind of live aboard-ish marinas, right? And we had this great potluck for Christmas, and it was incredible. Um, I was just really disappointed. I didn't get to the haggis before it was gone. I'd never had haggis before. We had a Scottish cruiser like made a proper haggis.
Wow.
But like everybody brought what was important to them to have on the table, and a few years later, very similarly, but in Thailand on the beach with a makeshift, piece of driftwood over some rocks. Same thing. Everyone's bringing what's important to them that's part of their family traditions. And that sharing with other cruisers and learning about other people's traditions is a really cool part of the holiday as a cruiser.
Yeah, and I think it can take an awful lot of pressure off our expectations because actually
Hmm.
we have these expectations that we create ourselves on what our table should look like, what our menu should look like, what gifts should
Hmm.
look like. And then when we actually are exposed to other ways of doing it, it kind of just dissipates that urgency or
Hmm.
that anxiety that can even come for people to
Hmm.
get things perfect or just right. So if someone is feeling daunted by the idea of a holiday on the boat, maybe it's their first holiday season, what
Hmm.
kind of advice could you give them?
Let it go. It's so hard, right? I get
Yeah,
it. And I remember back, and it took me actually a long time to get over it, that those first years I worried so much about the kids feeling somehow cheated because they wouldn't have had the experiences that they would have had at home, that it wouldn't there wouldn't be enough.
yeah,
And they never felt that way. And I remember that first Christmas in Mexico especially was very lean in terms of what was under the tinsel wrapped mast in the
yeah.
cabin.
I love it.
You know, no tree at that point. We did eventually get a small, like, collapsible tree that we put out at Christmas that's very much, become part of the tradition. We didn't have it then. And the next day, you know, or on Christmas Day rather, the kids declaring it the best Christmas ever. That they couldn't believe how great it was. And it was the most minimal Christmas ever by a huge margin. But it wasn't about the stuff. It was
Mm.
really, and we focused without thinking about it on all of these other things, the traditions we had, going dock to dock in this marina in Mazatlan, caroling with other cruisers, going and
Oh, awesome.
serenading the staff at the marina where we were staying with, both Spanish and English language Christmas carols. That those were the things that made it really special for them. Um, Not the fact that they had a very small take in the sense of
Mm.
what was under the tree virtually.
I love that. And it just goes to show that that actually is the true spirit of Christmas or the true spirit of the holidays for people is actually
Mhm.
about, from what you were saying there, it seems that that connection and that sharing and that being part of something bigger is
Mhm.
actually what the spirit of Christmas is about for children. And
As the kids got older and we were able to participate, to do things like, right, we're gonna put everyone's name in a hat, we're gonna pull it out, and you're gonna make something for that person, right? That it's
right.
not about what's gonna show up for you that you
Yeah,
wanted, that's on a
yeah,
list.
yeah.
It's about what were we doing to recognize each other and what each other wants. And I think it's just a very cruiser attitude in a way. And maybe it goes back to some of our roots too. So Robin Lee Graham was is probably the reason we're here in the first place. My husband read his book when he was 12, and that was it. He wanted to go.
Wow.
And he says, it's see, right? I learned how little a person needs, not how much. And that sounds great from the outside, but you go and live as a cruiser and you internalize it because you're living in in such a very full and present way, both how little you have and how awesome being in nature is.
I think that's what also made us want to go cruising too, is the fact that you don't need much, and that minimalistic lifestyle, it just fills us. It really
Mhm.
fills our cup. So yeah, I share that with you guys too. That's awesome.
Right. So in our family, it would be Christmas would mirror Thanksgiving in terms of what was
Okay.
going to be served, just in a way that we're less tied to, where it's
Mhm.
like I feel like we have to have the cranberries at Thanksgiving somehow. But we kind of want them to show up at Christmas too, and that's like the
Yeah.
one other time. And actually it's the same with the pumpkin pie. So thankfully these are both things I can get in a can and keep forever. Yeah, well, for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
There have been times
Yeah, can you imagine?
in a locker, because so many parts of the world do not have those two things, and the rest we can improvise really, really well, and the improvising is fun.
Yeah, that's it for sure. I mean, I tend to stock up on things like, so my flowers, make sure I've got all my cinnamon, because I really love to do a lot
Hmm.
of baking on board. And I find
Mm.
that's a great way as well of sort of breaking the ice with other cruisers, sort of going around and just saying, "Hey, would you like to try one of our cookies?" Or and share them around. And even if you're in a marina with the marina staff, as you mentioned, so I always make sure I've
Uh-huh.
got plenty of supplies, and then cookie cutters. I have all kinds of cookie cutters as well. A morning is sometimes when people sort of when they wake up, that can be the moment where
Mhm,
people kind of feel a bit more sad or a bit more maybe nostalgic,
mhm,
about normally what happens, because that's generally when you're on your land life, that's when the morning you wake up and it fills you with excitement. And so I always try and make, our mornings really special in the food world. So I'll make some fluffy pancakes with some homemade Nutella and peanut butter and
mhm,
things like that. Or I'll make some cinnamon buns that I will have done, which are really sort of Christmassy with the cinnamon smell there.
mhm,
And I always try to make or a chickpea omelette filled with lots of freshies that we've got wherever we are. And I always try and do that to make the morning start off really well. And I
mhm.
think from that, then the day, just as you say, it doesn't really matter what happens. We take things as they come.
And in a way, it's exactly what I wanted to have happen by taking our kids cruising, that they would pick up traditions along the way, wrap them in as their own, find their own identity, but grow a sense of, I guess, empathy and understanding of the wider world at the same time.
I love that. What a wonderful way to finish this fantastic conversation, which has been super enlightening and an absolute pleasure to speak to you and listen to your wonderful Christmases. And I hope that they can inspire people to look at these festive seasons and on a boat, not as a problem, but as a gift, to be able to share this experience with other cruisers, with other people, and learn from it. So thank you very
Well,
much for
thank you so much for asking me. It's
your
been really fun talking to you. I think, we share a lot in common in terms of these experiences and it's fun to talk about.
Definitely. Can you tell us where we can find out more about your wonderful work and
Oh
what
yeah. Fine. Sailing Totem is everywhere for us as far as sailingtotem.com for our website. It's our handle for Facebook and for Instagram and for Blue Sky and whatever people use, even on YouTube, although we don't really do videos so much.
Yeah, and you do some coaching, right?
We do, and I appreciate that first year can be extra hard for people, and it's
Mm.
something that we talk about with a lot of the folks we work with. We coach people at all stages from I want to put a 10-year plan together to I'm boat shopping to I'm trying to transition in my first year is challenging to help me troubleshoot the water maker, please. Like soup to
Mm.
nuts, coaching assistance.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm sure with your wealth of experience that you'd be able to really be give great advice and support, and coach people to get out on the water and experience this wonderful lifestyle.
Well, we know, as you know, it's pretty awesome. And I think the world is a better place the more people get out and that we can do this is a good thing for hopefully, well, for us, for the folks we help, hopefully for a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you so much.